We are here rolling with Olin, and I've got the wonderful Vanessa Portillo. Vanessa, thank you again so much for doing this.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me today.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So let's just roll on into it, okay?
All right.
One of your first projects ever, which a great movie, and I love to watch it. I want you to tell us about it. Face Off with John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that, but
Yeah.
do you have any great stories about that?
That was one of my, like you said, one of my very first that I did, one of the first big ones. And you can imagine when they told us, what we were going to be signing on for, it was certainly very exciting for us. And we were just we knew the filmmakers who were on board, we knew the actors who were on board, and it just was something really special. We had a lot of background on that film. It was a lot of action, had to prep everybody and give them the heads up. They were going to be around all the usual things, watch where they were stepping, watch where they were going, because there was always something fun happening. And I just really, it's definitely at the top of my list for one of the fun ones that we got to work on. We have, my little treasure from that was my signed script by Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and it's in a little box and with all the keepsakes.
Or at least in a box that could hold a script.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Can't be too little, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But great stories on that, and working with those guys as a casting director, doing all the background and stand-ins and photo doubles and all that. I mean, that must have been really cool. I mean, just to know that, I mean, like you said, the names, Travolta, Nicolas Cage.
Film,
Yeah.
It was, it seems like there aren't as many of those kinds of films these days, right? We don't get to do as many big studio projects, and that was still, I feel like, when there were days with bigger background, bigger amounts of people that we got to find, and, a little bit more specialized in different ways, so... Really fun. Really fun.
And when you talk about specialized and different people working on the film, you've got the main characters, the principal actors, you've got the extras. Can you tell us, digging deeper into who tells you basically what to get and how does that work? I mean, obviously I know as a casting director, but I'd like the audience to know.
Well, it's on some of our projects we get to sit for a little bit of time and spend time with the director. It depends. It depends on how much time they have in prep and if it's feasible to make that meeting happen. Otherwise, a lot of our information starts to come down from our first AD. Our second ADs kind of translate for us on what's really needed, right? But I think being able to spend time ideally with the director is invaluable for us, right? To be able to kind of dive in and jump in their head and know what they're feeling, and if they can give us an idea of something to imagine where they're at, the vibes. Just we need to kind of really understand what it's going to look like on film, what it's going to translate like, how they imagine it, how it feels. That's huge for us.
Yeah, and directors are so important. You've worked with some really big ones: Joel Schumacher, Adam McKay, Ron Underwood, Larry Charles, just to name a few. I mean, sitting with them, because, you get a script, break it down with the second AD, the first AD, you get that meeting with the director, the first meeting or possibly more. And these directors are, we've got to go with their creative mind.
Of course.
And, they tell you, hey, we need this, we need that. I'm sure they've told you, we need something, and you thought in your head, oh my God, how am I going to get that? How do you get that? How do you get the unknowns, the things that are difficult, the things that maybe you have to go, out of your database for? How do you get that?
The feelers go out immediately. We start connecting with people. It might be as something that seems so small, but somebody says, hey, I have an uncle who's in this industry, reach out to them. And all of a sudden, we've connected with them, and they've put us in touch with more people, and they know somebody at the factory, and now we've got the factory workers on board. So it's a matter of using, being able to understand just good communication, casting the net really far out, and it's surprising because all of a sudden somebody knows somebody who can connect you with somebody else. It's great,
It's a puzzle.
Absolutely.
Right? And it comes together, a little piece here, a little piece there, and before you know it, it's like, it's complete. I mean, there's so many different, aspects to shooting a movie or a television show, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
bringing everybody together, but casting is so important, right?
It really is, and I always say that people, on our end, a lot of things happen before the people arrive on set. We are putting out fires and dealing with problems that nobody ever knew existed before the people actually get to where they need to be. You know, a lot transpires over that time, that from the time that we get the call on what we need
Yeah.
to the 200 people that got there, and how they got there.
And what are some of those problems? Like the dog ate the directions to where to go?
The dog ate the direction. Let's see, the roommate, the car was behind them in the parking garage. They couldn't get out. I mean, we, as you have heard it all. You know, that's stories for days. Right?
There's stories for days and days and days.
But that's okay, because that's all part of. I mean, our department doesn't deal with anything that's tangible. You know, when I've been asked in the past, what time can we expect those photos? You know, maybe they're expecting 50 selfies of all these people, and it's, the answer is kind of a little bit fluid, because it's gonna depend on when the person was able to pick up their child from school and get home, or when they got off that one set, or all the millions of things that could happen by the time that we get those photos.
Exactly. And we, as casting directors, especially extras casting directors, or background actors, as we call it now, have more people on set mostly than anybody, right? Even more people than the crew. I mean, there might be 100 crew members. We might have 200 background artists.
Right. Absolutely. We've now put together, an entire crew of background that matches or is greater than what we actually have working on set. So every department is absolutely crucial.
Yeah. So can you explain, like, what's the difference? Because you've done hundreds of movies and television shows. What's the difference when it comes to a stand-in? What does a stand-in do? And a photo double? A lot of people get confused on that. Can you explain that to our audience?
Yeah. So a stand-in is obviously crucial. We use our stand-ins to light the scene. I mean, they, while the actors are finishing getting ready and doing their last looks and all their last things, we've got the stand-ins who come in and are set up where the actors are going to be, so that the DP can light them and figure out how the shadows are going to look, how things are going to go. And then once it's ready and it's perfect, we get to bring in our cast members, and now they're on camera, but everything's ready to go for them. The photo doubles are used when we're going to do something like a flashback. Maybe they've already wrapped out an actor. They had the actor for 4 days, and they, made sure to have all the dialogue done and all of this. And then all of a sudden they realized, we needed to film the actor driving by in the distance, so we're going to use a photo double. And now we get to see them, and they're kind of off in the distance. We think it's them, but it's not. It's somebody, as a photo double. Sometimes we use our photo doubles for inserts. So maybe the actor reached in to grab something, and we have the hand, the shot on the hand. That might be a photo double. Or even, like we said in those flashback scenes, it could be anything. Maybe they're walking through a door, or from behind, or over the shoulder. But some of that stuff is so hard to get when we're doing the main scenes, right? The main dialogue.
Yeah.
Everybody's in such a crunch to get, the information and make sure that we actually get the shots.
Right. So with a stand-in, is that something that people go to school for, or is it just you learn, or is it just something that kind of comes up in
That's
time?
something that I feel like, the people who make great stand-ins are people who really watch what's happening on set. They're people who pay a lot of attention, and before you know it, they're asked to kind of get in there. Obviously, there are a lot of people who their main work is stand-ins. Who are
Professional stand-ins. And they're kind of part of the crew too, right?
They absolutely are.
Right.
They become a huge part because they spend so much time really in there. You know, and but I don't know if you go to the school of set.
The school is set, right? Online learning, or basically on-set learning.
Real life,
right?
In person,
and talking to people and figuring it out, and knowing, and watching, and being an extra watching other stand-ins work is a good thing, a good way to learn, right?
It's a great way to learn.
You know,
The
and
best way to learn.
and photo doubles, obviously you just have to get lucky. You have to look like someone, either, John Travolta or,
Yes.
Julia Roberts. You look like
Yes.
them.
It's gonna
That's how
work.
you become a photo double, right?
And a lot of times, even for the photo doubles, you could match sizes, because we have to match sizes so many times. You have to match the hair color, the length, all the things. But sometimes they'll say, they're perfect, they are similar, we'll put a wig on them. So that could work too. But I always say, if you're going in that close on a photo double, you probably should be using the actor.
Yeah, you should
Right?
be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it does help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if it's, a distance shot or something, right? Or you're seeing them from the back. But
Yes.
still, the hair has to be
has to
exactly
match.
the way it is with the actress or actor
Right.
that's playing, right?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that there have been, cases of not a great photo double.
Yeah.
But,
But not from you or I.
not from
We would
us.
never do that.
No,
of course
absolutely
not. That's a C team.
Yes.
Right?
That's not us.
That's not us at all. No, for sure.
I think we throughout the years, all of us prided ourselves on the perfect photo.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't have C team as my guest. Only A team, A plus, and therefore.
Happy to be here.
All right. So what advice would you give to people all around the country or around the world that are listening to us? What advice, or watching,
Yeah.
would you give them to get involved in the industry? They're sitting around, they're, whether in their small town or wherever, they're sitting around and they're thinking, man, I really want to I want to get into the industry. Do I have to move to Hollywood to do it? Can I do it in other places? If so, how can I do it? What's the easiest way to become an extra, become a stand? What do they have to do to become an extra or a background actor?
Well, we've seen, especially more recently, we've got really, really fantastic film communities, all over the country right now. Some of our friends have offices all over the country, which is great. And so there's background work available everywhere now. It's really fantastic. I always feel when people ask me, well, I want to be an actor. I don't want to be in the background. And I tell people, well, if you've never been on a set before, that's the best place that you can learn, because walking in with no knowledge of a set, I think, is something that is detrimental to an actor. If you don't have a concept of what the setup is and how it's going to be, and the terms that you're hearing, because I think that that's the real life experience that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You want somebody to kind of know their way around a little bit, and that takes a while. As with anything, you've got to get your bearings, right? So getting on set and really listening, just watching, listening, paying attention. Sometimes it's better to be the listener than the talker.
Yeah.
And so I tell people that too.
Yeah. And I always I always also say, just kind of, for people that are in, places all over the world or all over the country that want to, call the local maybe film commission, say, where's films being done? Where can I go? What can I do? Maybe go into, do that. Always take classes if you want to be an actor, right? Always take classes.
You're immersed in your craft. It's kind of like the manifestation almost. You're allowing that to happen, right? You're making, you're meeting other people, you're practicing scenes, you're kind of just honing your craft. And the connections that you meet other people through your acting classes, I think, are fantastic, right?
Yeah.
This person is doing a short film with this person, and they want you to come do something all of a sudden, or a table read for something, I know people who have done table reads through friends of friends, and all of a sudden, they've been asked to play a part, So I think the biggest thing is just keeping your doors open and being open to meeting new people and seeing what comes of that. I think that when we become insular in our, even if it is just you're going to acting class, but all you're working on is your own stuff, you shut out the rest of the world.
Right.
Which is just not how this industry works.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to stay in it. You have to just kind of, keep circling in it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And the number one thing is professionalism, right? 100%. If you're going into this business just to have fun or eat food or whatever, then don't get into it, right?
No, there are other businesses you can go into, but the thing is, people want to know that they can count on you.
Yes.
People want to know that you're going to show up when you say you're going to show up. that you're going to be on time, right? You know, I always wonder about when somebody calls and they have to be on set at 8 a.m. and it's 8:25 and you call them and they say, well, it's just one of those mornings. I had a rough start. And it's like, well, now we've got the whole crew waiting on you for your rough start. That doesn't really fly, because now you're going to get there and now it's going to be the way it's going to be, right?
And possibly get sent home, and possibly with no pay. Who knows?
Possibly.
But, it is.
We're going to hear about it.
Yeah, we're going to hear about it.
And we're going to hear about it.
And that's the other thing. It's a small casting community. We are very small. We hear everything that's going on, right?
We hear everything.
We know who the good.
We don't hear it from someone on set, from the production team. We hear it from somebody else, one of the other actors. We hear everything.
Yes.
So I always tell people, best behavior.
Best behavior.
Best behavior.
Across the board. And best behavior, show up on time, be professional, don't talk to the actors unless they're talking to you, right? That's a big thing. And try
I know
not
that's hard. I really do realize that is hard. And I know people don't have bad intentions when they go to talk to actors or when they talk to anybody. I mean, we all want to connect and we all want to be heard and, have these experiences. It's just, I think, specifically with that one, when we say, don't talk to your principal actors, it's mainly because they are in a space. They are about to walk out and give a performance. So you just want to make sure that people have the safe space to be able to give their performance without being interrupted or, taken out of that mind space, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's not for any other reason other than that. They're concentrating.
Yeah. It's just a great business across the board. If if you're in it and you want to stay in it, just play along and do what you got to do to make things happen and get out in wonderful sets and work with wonderful people. And what story might you have of maybe your favorite set or favorite movie or television show that you might be able to tell?
Well, we did years ago. I got to do Man on the Moon, which was really cool. And it starred Jim Carrey. And it was him playing Andy Kaufman. It was the story of Andy Kaufman. And amazing filmmakers all the way around. Milos Forman directed that. And it's pretty special. Jim Carrey, throughout the process, was he's a method actor. So at the time, I don't believe he's acting these days. But he really encompassed Andy. He was Andy Kaufman. And it was such a moving experience to watch that kind of unfold and transform. Andy Kaufman had this alter ego that was Tony Clifton, I believe. And, Tony was the complete opposite of Andy. I don't know if you're familiar. And he was loud and very obnoxious and abrasive. And, there were all these stories that while Jim was in character, even as Tony, we had crazy things that happened because he embodied Tony.
Wow.
In real life, there was a moment where Tony was performing one night at a club in Beverly Hills or somewhere around town, and he, unbeknownst to anybody, invited the Hells Angels to come down that showed up on their motorcycles and just, kind of, it became a very, very lively party, we'll say that, right? And so on the set, he extended the invite again. And we had the exact same thing happen. And again, unbeknownst to producers, anybody, So it was kind of a wild ride the whole time. And then later, other stories came out about just kind of what had transpired throughout the whole experience. So, but being able to do that and have it be, a period piece in the 70s and just really an immersive experience just between his acting and the time period and the whole thing. So that's one of my favorites.
So cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did he then stay in character even when he wasn't shooting?
Yes.
The whole time?
At all times. Everybody referred to him as Andy when he would arrive or Tony. It depended on, and even, again, while in those characters, he would march into people's offices, as Tony Clifton, and do exactly what Tony would have done, on that level. So it was really wild. Yeah.
Unbelievable. But you know, look, it goes to show you that a really great actor can get so much immersed into that character, right?
It was exceptional. It was really, really special. And I just, you know, up until around, I mean, he had done a bunch of stuff prior that was mainly comedic, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
to get to see him in that kind of role was just really great, you know. It's really fun. So that's one of my most favorite memories.
Yeah. Well, you obviously you have a lot of memories, and
Yes.
and you kind of got into casting, I think, a little bit. I think you know, you and I have talked. I think you got into it a little bit by accident. I'm not really sure, but you know, your family, you have a history. Your family's been in the industry for, you know, you have a long lineage of family that was in the industry. Your father being a director, your grandfather. Can you tell us about that? And I think you might, you know, maybe you have a photo or two to share.
I brought a few things just because it's again, something else that's very special for me. I had never intended to get into the film industry. I always said I was going to go the complete opposite direction because I always kind of saw film industry as a bit of a circus, you know,
and it is.
And having, you know, my mother's parents were actors in Cuba, and my father was a director, and my grandparents, my dad's father was a director, grandma was a production manager. So it went on both sides. And again, we grew up on sets. We grew up, my brother and I, and with all of them. So it just felt like, no, I'm going to go a different route. And I was looking to go into psychology. That was going to be my path. Yeah. And so I happened to have been at school at the time, and I answered a job board. There was a job board, and there was a posting about needing a phone operator in an office, in a busy office. So before I knew it, I actually ended up, at the time, it was extra phone. So it was one of the call-in services. That it's been a long time. I know I'm giving my
that's okay.
You know,
that's
dating
okay.
myself a little bit here, but. Extra phone, and I was there for about a year. And then I was recruited to Cenex Casting, which was the non-union world of Central Casting. At the time, they were separated.
Yes.
So, that's kind of how that happened. And then, you know, just it found me, I always say. It wasn't what I was supposed to do, and I really tried to stay away. Yeah. But somehow it found me.
Yeah, and you opened up your own casting company, and now
I had spent some time I spent 4.5 years at Cenex, and then I ended up doing a few other things through Man on the Moon. I ended up going into, I really wanted to open the door to the music industry. So when I was on Man on the Moon, I met the music supervisor, who ended up bringing me over to work with them at Jersey Records. The Man on the Moon was done by Jersey Films, which was Danny DeVito and Michael Schamberg and Stacey Sher. And I ended up going to work for the head of the music label, the record label. Yeah. Did a quick little stint there for a little while. And then my boss at Cenex reached out. We connected. I was kind of in an in-between. And she said, you know what? Come work with me, be my partner. And at the time, we were doing VIP with Pam Anderson. That was the show that she had locked at the time. And so I jumped in, and just kind of Shannon ended up going a different direction in 2003. So I've been on my own for the last however many years that is. You know, freelance, independent, and it's been a really great ride. You know.
Yeah. Well, you said something about you were going into psychology. Yeah. Right. Well, I think you're kind of still in it, right?
I use
with the people that we deal with daily, right?
Yes.
You're still a psychologist.
Well, you know, what's funny, and you know, we talk about this quite a bit. Yeah. You know, we wear a lot of hats in what we do, right? We get to, there's so many things that happen, and you know, we're all slightly, I always say, I think everybody's slightly teetering on the edge, you know? Right. And so, you know, sometimes it takes a little bit of connecting with people and really understanding. I mean, it's you know, it's easy to get jaded in this industry, but hopefully it's nice to be able to at least have that contribution to keep people on the same page, you know, and just knowing that they are important. They do matter, because every single one of those people that we send out to set matters.
Yeah, it does matter. It does matter. And you know, I appreciate you being here and rolling with Olin. And you know,
Thank you,
and
Dad.
I just, I mean, I love your stories, and you know, I'd love to see some of your photos. Would you mind showing a photo of your father and
Sure.
grandfather? And
I brought this one. It's one of our favorite ones. It's
maybe you could just hold it up, you know,
Yeah.
to the camera
my
here.
dad directing behind the camera here. It was
Wow.
on a film called Rio de Oro, and one of his first films. And it's just special. This one's really
Beautiful.
special. And you know, he's done all sorts of stuff through the years. Dad's here with Eileen Brennan and Ernest Borgnine.
Look at that.
It's really fun. And, you know, got a photo here. Jamie Elliott is, Dad and Jamie produced tons of films together, and she's Dad's right hand, so
Wow.
really special. So I keep all of these little treasures everywhere.
Of course you do.
got
I mean, why
grandma,
not?
you know, my grandmother was the production manager on one of the Herbies Goes Bananas films. They
Oh,
did
that's
several, but that one is in Puerto Vallarta in the late 70s. And then I brought some of my grandfather's.
Let's look at that. That's a now that looks a bit
is
ancient,
serious,
huh?
right?
This is serious stuff.
This is, we've got stuff through the times, but what's special about this is that some of these are, you know, newspaper articles, and we've got some really fun. This was him directing Second Unit in Mexico in 1954.
Put it like
It's
that,
for The Tall Men with 20th Century Fox.
Oh wow.
You know, so he's right here and just immersed in all this stuff. You know, I was.
Beautiful.
It's just really
Oh, my
fun
God,
to
this
be
is
able
just-
to keep this stuff. You know, he took these photos on set of Clark Gable and Jane Russell.
Oh, where's
and
Clark?
Clark's
Oh
right
my
there.
God, look at that.
You know, so just some really fun old stuff of you know, this apple didn't fall far from the tree, you guys.
No. This is beautiful.
You know, all sorts of stuff. So anyways, I didn't want to take it out to bring it.
Yeah.
But,
No.
right?
This is great, and
know?
it's a good thing I saw it earlier because, you know, for me to look at it backwards is kind of, you know, interesting too. But I do like it.
You are looking at
It's
it
so
backwards,
beautiful,
but,
though, for photos,
But
for
anyways,
stories.
yeah, you know, we did keep some fun stuff. There was some, we had something really fun that Grandpa did. He did the second unit of a film called The Devil's Rain here in Durango, in
Oh,
Mexico.
wow. Look at these.
So yeah, it's really great.
It's
Keep,
amazing.
family
It's amazing.
treasures,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, you had the John Travolta in here. Is that it? That's it.
this
That's the
one,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Grandpa was on
Yeah,
set.
John Travolta. Look at that. I mean,
Funny. He
these
was
are
so
the-
young here. This was, you know,
Yeah.
early on in
And
his
you're with your
career.
grandfather in that shop right there.
grandpa, yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, these are just fabulous. And what you know,
There's all sorts of stuff in here.
beautiful to have, right? Beautiful
Wonderful.
to have
This is super
the
special
stories
to
that are in
us.
there.
Yeah,
know?
all of them, you know, and I have I have them on my phone. I don't have it in a form, but my grandparents on my mother's side, both of them were actors. And, you know, we've got these great photos of you kind of like their, you know, the Hollywood, the golden era heyday look.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! Look at that! Oh, such
So
beautiful, beautiful.
you know, and so it's kind of fun. I've been able to find some really great old stills, you know,
Yeah.
pieces of some of these old films on YouTube, you know, because they're just not really accessible anymore.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's from the
exactly.
40s. you
But just
know?
to have this Hollywood history, right?
It's
Because
great.
Hollywood is so. I mean, it
Yes.
just goes back and
Yes.
back. I mean, the people that have been involved in this industry. I mean, wonderful people, great people, and so many just. I mean, you have to have that passion. It gets us back to that, right? It gets us
do.
back to having the passion to, you know, do what we do. Tell stories.
You know, and our, you know, when we talk about the background casting, it's really what I think is so special about what we do is that, you know, we kind of make the scene really come to life.
Yes,
I mean,
we do.
if you were in a restaurant, we were sitting in a restaurant, there was nobody there, it wouldn't feel real.
Right.
You know, so once we bring everybody together, and it's just, there's something magical that happens when you get to, you know, all the departments, all the people once they start rolling, you know, it just kind of all unfolds.
It all unfolds.
And I mean, like we say, every single department has something special to bring. You know, once you're on set and you're seeing all of that happening, and then they start editing and they put it all together, and it didn't look like that when you were filming
That's
it,
right.
You know, and they added the music and the composers and everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned before sitting down with people, you know, sitting down for me with costumes.
Yeah.
Is huge.
It is
You know,
huge,
I love being able to spend time with our costume designers and our supervisors that really can, again, you know, you jump inside their head and really understand that what they're doing,
Yeah.
what they want to bring to life, you know, because every single one of these pieces is so crucial.
It is crucial. Well, you've got the wardrobe, you've got the hair and makeup departments you got to talk to you.
Yeah.
You've got the director, the first AD, the second AD. Everybody's throwing little things at us.
Yes.
We're putting it all together. That's where the puzzle comes, you know, into play.
Absolutely.
And like you said, we're creating those scenes for them. We read a script.
Yep.
We're not seeing that necessarily in the script. That's how everybody is working on it to make that script come to life.
It's a teamwork.
It's
you
a
know?
teamwork, right?
And then, you know, when we keep going with these departments, the props departments, right? Like we have to be able to send photos to them that they can use up on the walls to make the family members come to life. You know, the art department, there are all these people that just, you know, I think that we forget when we watch something on TV what it took to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so one other thing I wanted to bring up. So when you've got a bunch of people that are booked out for a day, okay, and then all of a sudden, you know, rain's in the forecast, right?
That's a good
And,
time.
you know, like today, I mean, it's raining outside. Okay, rain's in the forecast. And, you know, how do you change that so quickly? And what do you guys do to, you know, change it up?
Well, it depends. If they're going to keep shooting, then everybody needs to be prepared, right? Rain or shine means you guys are going no matter what, and we're going to make it work, as we know, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, if everything has to change and now we are going to cancel tomorrow and move it to Sunday, you know, we've had crazy stories with weather, crazy stories. We had a recall. We had 250 people out on a wedding scene. It had been multiple days of this call, and we started on a Thursday. They shot it Friday. They were back, recalled. Midday, out of nowhere, a gigantic windstorm blows in.
Oh, no.
I mean, so bad that they couldn't. Holding was outside.
Tents were flying all over the place.
They said it's dangerous. We have to shut down. So they shut down the day, but they had a really crazy schedule. So they basically ended up saying, okay, well, we're done, and now we need all these same people back for Monday.
Wow.
So, you know, it's Friday afternoon.
Trying to
People
get
have
them,
already
right?
gotten work for Monday, but now you've got continuity issues. You need the same people back.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's lots of flexibility.
Yeah.
Lots of just kind of being able to stay, you know, sane.
Yeah.
In the midst
Juggling.
juggling. You
Big
know,
time.
it's,
Calling other
tricky.
casting directors, hey, can we have your people because we need them for the...
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a crazy biz.
Luckily, we, you know, so many of us are able to connect and we know each other that we can reach out and say, hey, I appreciate that you booked this call 3 weeks ago,
Right.
but I really need these 10 people back because they're sitting in the front row at that wedding.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So,
That's right. And that brings me to, if you don't get all 10 of them and you get 9 of them, well, you kind of have to do, it's kind of really not an official photo double, but you got to get somebody who looks like that
Absolutely.
person. So obviously with everything you've done, and so many like we've talked about, more recent shows that you've done, obviously, you know, I know Beef comes to mind, and there's others. What can you tell us about that, or others that recently you've worked on or you've done?
you know, I was so excited to see how well received Beef was. It was a fun experience. We, it's a really, really creative team. And once we got going with it, you know, it was certainly a little bit challenging in that we wanted to keep it authentic. Sunny, our creator on the show, you know, had asked that we keep with certain demographics of the show, and we were really trying to find Korean people, which was a bit challenging here and there. You know, I think that, and especially for us, we were really hard on ourselves to make sure that it felt authentic and that we could deliver exactly what was being asked of us. And as the show kept going, we again started to put the word out, and we got friends of friends calling, and really kind of brought in, cast the net out, and we're able to really find some wonderful people and give it the feel that we were looking for. And as the show, like I said, as the show got going, it just kind of spiraled in the best of ways, and it got some great attention. It was really, kind of riveting.
People were coming from all different sides to be a part of it, no doubt, right?
Yeah, and they, even went the avenue. There was a specific church scene that we did, and so there were church members that came that wanted to be part. So it just starts to friends of friends. Again, the same type of thing that we were talking about.
Yeah. So you're, all these shows, and you're constantly working. You always have things. Obviously, we just, had, a little
bit of a
little snafu,
yes,
as we call it. But we'll get right back into it. Obviously, we will get back into it. The town's going to be crazy in 2024. I mean, this whole year ahead of us is going to be great. They'll be doing lots of different things. When you work on a show like Beef, and all the specifics and everything that's out there, and how to go and get people, you spread your wings. How much during the day are you being bombarded with phone calls from production, or whether it's ADs or wardrobe or hair makeup or whomever? And I mean, is it
how much
what happens?
Day is all day.
How much of a day is all day?
All day, and it's. As all of us are, we are immersed in this, just technological time, right? So if it's not your emails, it's your texts or your phone calls or your instant messengers or your, what's the one that we're all on?
It's not Beeper.
No, but I feel like, there's all these different new apps that, I can't think of the one that I'm trying to remember, but Slack. On when we did, a couple of our recent shows, they had everybody on an app called Slack. So it's like an instant message going back and forth with production real time. And again, monitoring the emails, the things, the calls, it's a lot, and that's just one show. So if you have multiple shows working in the office and all of these are coming in, that's also a lot.
Yeah. No, it sounds like.
So.
Yeah, no, and it's also you're getting the calls from the talent as well, and trying to, maybe there's fittings involved or this or that. It's constant, right? It's hour after hour.
Fittings are just as, involved as the actual casting calls and getting the people to set, right? You have to get them to the fittings and make sure that they land on the day that they need to be sent, to set that they were fit for, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of logistics that go into place for what we do, as you know, and we just master schedulers.
Yeah. So what's the difference between being a SAG actor and a non-union actor?
Well, as a union actor, you've got the backing of your union. There are very specific rules put in place of things that can happen, as we all know, and the rates are different.
Right.
Unfortunately, the provisions are different, which we don't love. Obviously, I know for you as well. I wish everybody could be part of the union.
Right.
And I don't even want to say that there's a difference necessarily in somebody who is in the union who's not. I've known many non-union actors who are on their way to becoming union. Right. It has nothing to do with your craft. It's a matter of being able to be almost right place, right time.
Right, it's timing. Everything is timing.
Right? Yeah. We all know you need your 3 SAG vouchers to make you eligible, or you need to get a line in a SAG film, which makes it tricky. I mean, you could be here for 10 years and that might not happen.
Right.
So again, developing those relationships, showing up, showing us that you're
showing up early,
on time.
Right.
You come with your clothes looking nice. We've all seen the people who arrive and they pull out a bunch of things out of a duffel bag that Yeah,
it looks like unmade bed. Exactly.
A year.
Yeah.
So I think that things like that, avoiding things like that, are certainly what's going to get you noticed. And I also tell people I love when we're booking a rush call and someone jumps in.
Right.
At the last minute. We have people that don't show up and they call and they say, we really need to have every single one of these people here. We need, can you guys rush call 5-10 people? When somebody is ready to go, dressed and ready in the morning, and they're saying, I can go right now. It'll take me 30 minutes to get to set.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I can count on you. I know I can count on you. And that's
Absolutely.
somebody I'm going to think of the next time I'm looking for, whatever we're looking for.
That's right. The
Right?
next time and the next time, the next time.
Yeah.
And just one other thing.
Yeah.
Not all non-union people want to actually become SAG, right? There's a
That's
lot of
true.
people that just want to
That's
do
true.
non-union films, and that's
Yeah.
fine. They make a career out of it.
Yeah.
But especially if you want to get to the big, to the big show, the
Sure,
big TV
sure,
series,
sure.
the big movies,
Yeah.
then you have to eventually become
Yeah.
SAG.
If you, I think that there are people who come through who are just, certainly the majority of people are pursuing their craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are also people who are in between jobs out in the real world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they just are looking to kind of go have some fun on set and meet some people, and that's okay too. I mean, it happens. It's but sure, I think that
Yeah.
everybody's got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, everyone does. And the greatest thing about extra work, and I say extra because we grew up with extra,
Absolutely.
even though it's now background
Background,
actors
sure.
or background artists.
Sure.
But the best thing about it is pretty much anyone could do it. Any walk of life, anyone could do it and give it a try. That's the greatest thing about that. There are kids agencies that just deal with kids, and then there's the adult agencies that deal with 18 and older. And I've had people, I'm sure you have had as well, people that have worked that were 95 years old. If you need it, we're going to get it. 100 years old, we're going to get it.
Sure.
And it's just wonderful that anybody and everybody can do it if they want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've had these experiences where we meet everybody. We meet everybody from the biggest crossroads in this person's life to someone who's retired from selling, 5 companies and just has nothing to do
That's
and
right.
wants to be on set and
That's
around the movies. You
Yeah.
know?
I love them all, but those are interesting ones, right? They come in,
Always.
they've had this corporate job,
love the stories, yes.
they've made $500,000, and now they know they're going to be making like nothing, but it doesn't matter. They've
It's
always
not
wanted
about
to be
the
on the
money.
set.
Exactly. And they get to go, and it gives them stories
Yeah.
and experiences, right? I think
Yeah.
essentially that's really what it's all about. It all kind of compiles when you think of the amount of time that goes by and you're immersed in this business, in this career. But really, at the end of the day, that's the best part, is our stories, right?
That's it.
We'll
do this again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks again for rolling with Olin.
Yes.